Today we're going to be looking at 3 different bubbles on the compound and complex practice. We're going to be talking mainly about fanboys. So we will do these top 3 bubbles here. The identifying coordinating conjunctions, which is the proper grammatical terminology. Fanboys is just a mnemonic acronym that we use. Then we're going to look at all the different jobs and functions that these fanboys do. And then we're going to look at how to use commas with them. So let's start with what exactly is a coordinating conjunction. These are words that join 2 complete thoughts into one sentence. So a comma by its own, it's a pretty wimpy piece of punctuation. It can't really support the weight of 2 full independent thoughts. So what we lots of times will do is use a comma in a coordinating conjunction. So here we can look and see we have Luke will wash your car, a complete thought, connected with I will find you the perfect air freshener, which is another complete thought. We connect these with a comma and a coordinating conjunction or a fanboy. There are lots of different ones, but the most common, if you take the first letter, spells out fanboy. So we have for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. I know quite a few elementary classrooms will have these words kind of posted on a big stop sign when they're teaching them. So you might have that kind of memory to go off of. Now, when we start this bubble, it's just going to ask us to find the coordinating conjunction in the sentence. So we have Robin Scherbatsky got a new hiking backpack, so I asked her if I could have the old one. Our fanboy is so, it's the S, and we move on. Gandalf wanted to play video games, but I asked him to walk the dog instead. Here's our coordinating conjunction. So I'm going to just go through and do some of these. You can always pause and look at the sentence if you like, but I'll go through and answer all of these so that we can go on to that next bubble. One way, if you're really struggling to figure out what word it is to look for that comma. It will help you be able to locate those coordinating conjunctions a little bit better. But as I said, it's really just those few words that we covered. So you'll be able to pick them out pretty quickly in a sentence, as you can see I'm doing. If you have done your pretest before you have started on the practice, unlike I am, you probably will have already answered a couple questions and you won't have to do as many. You will have kind of earned like a level 1 or 2 going in. So you shouldn't have to answer quite as many of these. I'm sure you guys have noticed we've used NoRedInk. As you go through, the sentences do sometimes get longer, so you can see that they're making them a little bit harder, but definitely nothing that you can't handle. There we go, and there's our last one. So moving on to the function of fanboys. As I mentioned, they have lots of different jobs. Now, fanboys' main job is connection. Their job is to link things, but there's a lot of different things in a sentence you could be linking. So the first is you could connect subjects, which remember are the person or thing that's doing something in the sentence. So here we have Larry and Gary went to the musical together. Both of them are the subject because they're both going to the musical. So here our fanboy and is connecting our subjects. Now you'll notice we don't have a comma here. We only use the comma with fanboys when we are connecting 2 complete thoughts or independent clauses. So you can kind of see that broken down here. The next thing that the fanboys can connect are verbs. Sometimes we do multiple things in our sentence. So for instance, I can't tell if Jane washed or cut her hair. These are 2 different things she could have done connected with our fanboy or. We can also connect objects. Remember, the object of the sentence are the words or things that are receiving action. So our subject does something, a lot of times to the object. So here we have Helen will buy fries or a shake. Helen is our subject, our verb is will buy, and then our object, in this case, what is going to be bought? Either fries or a shake. You can again see how we've got a fanboy or connecting those two different objects. And all of the examples in the previous bubble were where we are combining complete thoughts. So here we have our or connecting two complete thoughts. They both have their subject and verbs. You will notice it's the only one that has a comma. So we'll do a few of these together. I followed Ron Weasley's instructions exactly, and my cheesecake turned out perfectly. So one hint we already have is this comma right here, so that should already be cluing you in to what type it was. But let's go ahead and see. Here we have I followed as our subject and verb. What did we follow? Ron Weasley's instructions, that's our object. But then we also have my cheesecake as a subject and turned out as our verb. So we have two complete thoughts here. So our word and right in between them is connecting complete thoughts. Treebeard's dog won't stop barking and I am starting to get a headache. Again, the dog won't stop. I am starting. We've got complete thoughts on either side. We've got our comma. That's what this one is connecting. You can see this one here. Again, it's doing the exact same thing. Let's see if we can get it to show up a couple of the other types. Here we go. So Eugene Krabs or my mother forgot to move the laundry to the dryer. Now we have two different subjects here. It was either Mr. Krabs or my mother who forgot, which is our verb. So this one we are connecting subjects of the sentence. Nala bought a sweater and a coat at the mall. Nala is our subject, verb is bought. What did she buy? A sweater and a coat. So these are the objects that receive the action of being bought. So this one is connecting objects. Every day after school, Aragorn either plays soccer or works on the newspaper. Here we have Aragorn plays soccer or works on the newspaper. Now, it might be a bit confusing, but we have plays soccer is our verb as well as works on the newspaper. So here we are connecting verbs. So we've done an example out of each of these. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to that last bubble that we're going to talk about today, and that's looking at the commas. And I've kind of mentioned this already. We only use the commas with fanboys when they are doing what's going on in this little blue box here, where we're combining two complete thoughts. So on this one, we're going to go through and answer if we need to add a comma or if the sentence doesn't need. So you first have to think, what is happening in our sentence? What is our fanboy doing? What job? Just like we were doing in that last bubble. So here we have Eugene Krabs needed help with his chemistry experiment, so the scientist rushed over to his lab. We do have two different subjects, two different verbs, and two different objects. So here, our fanboy so is connecting two complete thoughts, which means it has to have a comma. It doesn't have one already, so we want to add a comma. Karen Filippelli found jewels and gold coins in the treasure chest. So our word and here is connecting jewels and gold coins. These were what were found. They are the objects of the sentence. So we do not want that comma. So we're going to remove it. Lucius Malfoy forgot his lunch at home, so I gave him half my sandwich. Here we've got our two different subjects. So Malfoy, I, forgot, gave, and then our direct objects. We've already got the comma for our connecting two complete thoughts, so we just say keep the comma and move on. Patrick Star and his pet lizard played fetch in the park. Here we have our two subjects. Patrick and his lizard are the ones who are doing the action of playing. Because it's not a complete thought that we're connecting, we don't add a comma. I hope this was really helpful for you to help you understand fanboys and coordinating conjunctions and how they work. As always, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.